Queens of the Stone Age and Times New Roman album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this latest from legendary hard rock conglomerate Queens of the Stone Age, and probably the band that is most associated with why I'm here on YouTube, the band that I first fell in love with. I'll go into it in a few minutes, but Lullabies to Paralyze was the first CD that I ever bought in my life. They were my first absolute obsession and a major reason to why I became the music fanatic that I am today. Josh, I love you, and the band I have nothing but respect for, and seeing them grow over the years has been nothing short of thrilling. I mean, straight out of the desert, these guys started dropping albums in the late 90s, and albums that just are so near and dear to my heart for the most part. I mean, their self-titled album is just an absolute legendary piece of stoner rock. It's very sleazy, very sexy, very in your face, and it's a classic for a reason. Their follow-up, Rated R, turned up the volume on many levels. It's a much more straightforward album, but it led to some of their first hit singles, and you know, there's a reason why people still love it to this day. Songs for the Deaf. What else do I need to say about this album? It's the album that put them on the map. It is still considered by many to be as just like one of the last truly great hard rock albums, and just an iconic masterpiece of just road rock. I mean, still, to this day, you may not know much about Queens of the Stone Age, but most people know most of the tracks on here, like Go With The Flow, and of course, No One Knows, and I have always been partial to Lullabies to Paralyze. Yes, it's not considered by many to be one of their best, but honestly, it's always been up there for me for personal reasons. Now, things have not always been peachy keen with me and the Queens. Honest to God, still to this day, I hate Era Vulgaris to a T. It is clunky, it is awkward, and yeah, there's great tracks on there. I mean, God, Turn It On The Screws, awesome. Battery Acid's great. There's some awesome stuff on there, but genuinely, as an album, it is not something that I appreciate. So much so that when Like Clockwork came out, I don't think I listened to it for almost a year because I was that turned off by what the band had done to my fandom at the time. Like, I wanted to like Era Vulgaris so much, and I just couldn't. And then Like Clockwork came out. Like I said, I didn't listen to it for quite some time. And then when I did, I was kind of blown away by it, and still, to this day, I consider it to be one of the most underrated albums in their catalog. I mean, this album had Josh Homme really learn the blues. I mean, this is a absolutely harrowed, tortured album that is just so unbelievably emotional and sad, and a long list of impressive guests. I mean, if you haven't listened to it already, go ahead and listen to it. And now, that leads me to their last album, Villains, which at first, I thought it was a fine album, and I still think it's a good album. And I'm here today to say, honestly, Queens of the Stone Age are acting, and I'm here today to say the Queens are actually aging like a fine wine on this album. I actually think it's really good. This album starts off with Obscenery, and right off the bat, does anybody need a shower? This is one of the dirtiest, grimiest riffs that I've heard in rock all year. It is gritty, it is dark, it's got some teeth to it. And I just love hearing Josh over this track here. I mean, his bluesy, emotional, sort of dark performance on this track is exactly the kind of pick-me-up I needed after hearing Villains. I mean, that album was so clean. This album is anything but. This is a gnarly intro. I love a lot of the lyrics on this track too, and the strings that pop in for the finale are really great. And Paper Machete, this is the kind of track that, man, I listen to and I'm home, man. I mean, come on, look at this smile. This is a smile of a happy boy right here. Yeah, you can argue that this track is the overly machismo robo-rock that we got on Era Vulgaris, but somehow it works a lot better here. The swagger, the sweat, the sexuality, the darkness, it's all here. I don't know if it's just me or personal bias, but this track right here is my favorite track here. It's tugging on every heartstring, and it's put me in such a good mood. The riff is great, the solo is enigmatic, Josh sounds on another level. This track is awesome. Negative Space, I have a lot of the same things to say about this track. I hope you like big, meaty, muscular riffs. It's got that sleaze, though. It's got that dripping sexuality that has been with Queens of the Stone Age since their first record. The wailing guitars during the chorus, just how tortured this track comes off, the way this track just slithers along, it's pure evil. This track is just what the doctor ordered. I had my reservations. No, this album isn't perfect, but I do think this is a really big step in the right direction. And with Time and Place, I mean, I kind of needed a little bit more of an upbeat rocker, and we get that here, and it actually has a really jagged, off-kilter riff along with it. It's got that grit to it. It just bleeds sexuality once again, and some of the production tricks and blasts of noise that we get here are a really nice touch. And as always, there is some massively depressive stuff here, but if you've listened to albums like Clockwork, you will know that this is kind of par for the course. This album, you know, I wanted to just absolutely just freak out over it, but the problem is it's got two very big blemishes, like Made to Parade. This is one of the worst tracks of any genre that I've heard this year. This is Era Vulgaris all over again, but the band's a lot older and sounding a lot more awkward. The riff is boring. Josh sounds exhausted. The production here sounds like a chorus of farts. I don't know. Like, I hate to be that guy. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about this album, but the two major blemishes are big ones, the other being Sicily. Like, Josh's performance on this track, what happened here? I mean, the guy was the essence of cool in rock and roll for so long, but he sounds like he is so desperate on this track. This instrumental isn't helping anybody either, especially the second portion of this track, where it sounds like Queens of the Stone Age are pulling teeth. I don't know when we arrived at Amateur Hour, but thankfully we are leaving there because Carnavoyeur is really good. It's dark, it's really, I do really love the campy synths as well. I mean, ever since this single dropped, I've enjoyed it quite a bit. But it's Josh's haunted, truly tortured performance on this track that seals the deal for me. That, some just solid playing all around, and some great production, it's not that hard. The heavier, more harrowed side of this album continues to be what I crave. Then we have What the Peephole Say. Look at that wordplay. I mean, once again, I really did need a little bit more of an upbeat rocker in the second half, and we get it here, and thankfully it is really good. It's nothing fancy, but we get a throttling riff and a really wild-eyed, energetic performance from Josh, which is really good. Like, this track just makes me want to get into the car on the road with my boys and just drive for hours. I mean, I'm just glad that the band still has tracks like this in them. I mean, not like I had any doubt. And I do still really love Emotion Sickness. I mean, the big muscular riff here is great. Josh's performance is over the top as usual, but it's really compelling. It's got that bluesy, sort of sexy riff once again, which is something that I'll always love. And the release that we get on the euphoric chorus, I'd say it's needed. And one of this album's biggest left turns comes in the finale, Straight Jacket Fitting. This is a 9-minute, very back-to-basics, bluesy track for the Queens. It's winding, it's twisted, it's freakish over this 9 minutes. It really changes up a lot of things as the track goes on as well. It's the kind of risk I didn't think they would take, but I actually would not have minded to hear more like this. And freaking Josh, I mean, I've heard him at his most tortured over the years, but my God, what even is this performance? Especially as this track just disintegrates and warps and just fizzles out. Yeah, it's an awesome finale. I mean, look, this album is certainly not perfect. I mean, like I said, the two very big blemishes here are very bad, and some of the worst Queens of the Stone Age tracks that I've ever heard. But maybe this is just personal bias, but I think this is a big step back in the right direction for the band, especially with just how clean and straightforward the Villains album is. This album has a lot going for it, whether it be the much darker and grittier production, or the much more tortured and harrowed vocals, or just how comfortable they sound in it. I mean, this is just nothing fancy, but just a very solid, very good release from one of the best hard rock bands that ever did the damn thing. Yeah, this may be personal bias, and if it is, I'm sorry, but I'm feeling a very light 8 on this album. But let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.